So, welcome to the Edgewalker Cafe today, November 19th, 2020. And
Yes,
our topic
yes.
is um, self care and Edgewalkers, self care and self leadership in evolutionary times. And Patricia Varley is going to host.
Campanile.
I'm it's such a hard Patricia.
You've known me as Varley a long time, but that's okay.
Mhm. I apologize.
That's okay, Judy.
Always correct. I'll learn. And so I wanted to start, but Patricia is going to guide us in the conversation today, and we'll start with just a brief moment of reflection. I
No, I hear you. I hear you, and it sounds good. I apologize. I do have a 11 o'clock that I do need to jump on, so I hate to cut it short, but I think we got in a good place. I do.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I want to start with just like a 30-second reflection on a Rumi quote. So I'll ask for a minute of 30 seconds of silence after this. Rumi says, and I think this fits what Patricia's going to talk about. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself. So please join me in 30 seconds of silence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. Perfect
I'm
quote
Judy
to
Neal, and
start this.
I'm Judy Neal. I'm the founder of Edgewalkers, and we're all delighted to have you here at the Edgewalker Cafe today. I do ask you to mute when during the time Patricia's talking, and then later we'll be having a group discussion. So mute when you're not talking, and you can unmute yourself when you're going to talk. And Patricia will be speaking for about 20 minutes, and then we'll go into breakout rooms for 10 minutes, and then come back into the large group discussion. So thank you so much for being here. Again, the topic today is Edgewalkers, self-leadership and self-care in evolutionary times. So let me turn it over to you, Patricia Campanile.
Grazie, Judy. Thank you all for being here today. It really warms my heart, and I feel that community, especially now, like-minded communities, is really, really important for all of us to find each other, network, and support one another in these really challenging, but also times of opportunity and evolution. And there was a quote that really, I didn't know Judy was going to read that quote, but that builds on what Judy said, and it's by Harold Whitman, and it says, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go out and do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive." And when I was looking through quotes to open the discussion up with today, and the topic, which is self-care and self-leadership in evolutionary times, I often say to my coaching clients, I'm a certified Edgeworker coach and I do facilitation, that we cannot give what we don't have. Nobody can. And we can't expect from others what they don't have. So that's an interesting thing to remember, especially in the times that we find ourselves. So for many of us that have been kind of on our own journeys professionally and personally and spiritually and emotionally, it's really important that we have really excellent self-care. And what does that mean? Because if we are not caring for ourselves, we can go out and save the world and do everything that we want to do. But if we really want to come alive and really lead ourselves and others, regardless if it's our families, our corporations, with our spouses, the businesses, and our communities, it's first important that we give to ourselves what it is that we need so that we can be more available to others. So my sense is that you would probably all agree with that, because what I know, I've been there, and I know many of you probably have, we can get into burnout, right? Because we're caring so much for others, and it's a balancing act. It's a fine line between self-care and contributing to the world with our higher purpose, or the people that we love, our relationships, or our community. So I'm going to speak to that a little bit, and then also to the concept of what I call self-leadership, because again, we can't lead others if we don't lead ourselves. And leading ourselves has to do with our sovereignty, what it is that centers us and makes us unique. One of the things I often say to my clients or in my retreats to people is, there's only one of you in all of time. And if you really take that in, of all the people that have ever lived in all the centuries and millenniums and billions of people on this planet Earth, and all the people that will ever live or are to come, even after we're all gone, there's only one of you. Like, that's huge. To me, that's a miracle. So each of us has a unique purpose and contribution. And I don't want to use the word responsibility, but I would put it in, maybe coin it in a term of inspiration or calling, to be that first. And then if you're so inspired, to share that and bring that out to others and into our planet. And I think that self-care, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the groups when we break up, is, where am I nourishing myself? Whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, where self-care is also about having boundaries with self and other. And sometimes it's a fine line between wanting to give to others, right? And then also needing, like, is this nourishing me, this relationship, or am I giving too much? And I think that not all, but many people who are sort of in the work that I do, a lot of us tend to be givers. So we give and we contribute and we want to make a difference, which is great. But I think that more now than ever, it might seem that because we're in times of so much chaos and uncertainty, and we're needed, and we want to make a difference, we want to almost do more. But it's really important that we balance our self-care with what I call a self-leadership. Because if we're not centered in our sovereignty and who we uniquely are, along with the self-care, right? So you're kind of integrating those two. When you get out into the world or go to make a difference, you're going to be knocked over, right? It takes resilience now more than ever to be resilient, to be able to thrive, to have that center, why we kind of go out into this crazy, unusual, what I think evolutionary world that we're in. And if that makes sense to you. So again, we can't give what we don't have. So how are you cultivating self-care, personal responsibility for your health on all levels, and also the sovereignty and the balance to then step out in whatever way you're feeling called to do right now? I often feel that I've been in many of us I know and my clients have been in like the cocooning phase of like a butterfly, that we've been cocooning as caterpillars, going within, dying to our old selves, regenerating, transforming to become the unique, beautiful, quote unquote, butterflies that we're meant to be. But it's also a process that takes compassion and self-loving and self-awareness, and knowing that you matter and that you can and you do make a difference. So as an Edgewalker, and I love the term in the book that Judy wrote many, many years ago. I remember when you were writing it, Judy, we often live and walk on the edge. And sometimes that can feel very much alone. We can feel that we're not understood. We can feel that we're, walking between worlds. That feels normal for us, but not a lot of people in the real world per se out there understand that. So to be able to really accept to me, self-care is also about compassionately loving and accepting who we are. and embracing those things that make us unique, that also support the Edgewalker journey. I was talking to Judy yesterday, and I said, I know I'm an Edgewalker because my husband Dario and I, he's on the call today, have been traveling around the country in the middle of a pandemic since June. We've been through 24 states and 10,000 miles in the middle of a pandemic. We're calling it like the pandemic tour, and we're fine. Okay, so we've been ramping up the self-care as it relates to supplements, healthy eating, fresh air, sunshine, vitamin D, hiking in national parks when we can, going to the beach, creating quiet, being in the love bubble when we can. We're lucky we have each other. But the other thing is that the self-care is our mindset. Because you can do all the healthy things for your body, but if you're in fear, it doesn't mean you're not concerned. It doesn't mean we're not aware of what's going on, whatever your belief may be in the world. But if you're in fear, the vibration that you're in will attract illness, negativity, whatever. So it's important to be conscious and considerate of all that's happening, even with the people around us that we may or may not believe in, but to stay as uplifted as we can. And one of the things I often do with Dario is that we feel we're getting, negative or concerned or down, and, we're awake to what's happening, but we don't want to lower our emotional vibration per se. We go into gratitude. I always say to Dario, what are we grateful for? What can we focus on that will keep us uplifted? Because your body and your energy field is also totally connected to your emotions. It's the dis-ease many of us feel, and a lot of the world feels, when we're not in sync and we're not in self-care. So a lot of the self-care I'm talking about is physical, but a lot of it's spiritual and emotional. Right? Our mindset, if everything is for us and not to us, how does that shift our life? So even though it looks like there's a lot happening to us, how can we use what's available to us now as an opportunity, even though it's difficult? And I think that as Edgewalkers, or those of us that are in times of evolution, it's a real call to consciousness for us to awaken and to move to our own edges, whether it's maybe I need to take a walk every day to get my body moving, or can I make a gratitude list so that I can stay positive, or how can I ask my partner more for what I need, or maybe I need to set a boundary with this client. Are you following me? So all of these things are the personal way that we respond, the responsibility to ourselves, so that we can be better prepared and more centered in our sovereignty and our own leadership as we make an impact. Sometimes I think I've been more underground for a while, or traveling or doing my thing, because I needed to do a lot of my own integration work. I needed to walk my talk even more, so that when I go out into the world, whatever that might look like for me, I'm not going to be blown over the first time something comes at me, that may not agree with me or may threaten me. Is where's my center in that, so that I'm better prepared to lead self and other in evolutionary times. So evolution is like, to me, is the caterpillar becoming the butterfly, because once the caterpillar is a butterfly, it is never again a caterpillar, ever. And I see all of us in that phase, for those of you that I know and don't know. But the thing about a butterfly coming out of the cocoon, it takes a lot of effort and energy and strength and commitment to move and emerge to that next level. And evolution to me is an elevation. We're not going to go back to the normal. Some things we may bring forward, but I think evolutionary times call for people and individuals that are committed and connected to their self-care and their self-leadership, and who are available to creative problem solve, to be innovative, to look at things that are needed. because we're on the edge, right? How many people think we're on an edge? Anybody want to raise their hand? We are on an edge, like individually, communally, our families, the world, our United States, every place, we're on an edge. So if we're on an edge of opportunity versus an edge of, you know, it may look chaotic, but when the caterpillar is moving into the butterfly, it is dying to its old identity. It has to die to its old form to be born anew. And today really speaks to that, but it also speaks to how can we care for ourselves in a much deeper way that is really authentically aligned with your truth. So what I might need to care for myself and to move forward, maybe something completely different, like for Judy or for Linnea or for my husband. And it's really having that individuality and that respecting that people do things differently. And when we're in sovereignty or our self-leadership or in that center of this is who I am, and it's a work in progress, you know, it's progress, not perfection. We're all on the journey. I notice the more I'm centered and aligned with my soul and who I am, I'm not as threatened or reactive to people that are different from me. I'm able to have more space for, well, that's curious. Like, you know, I'm wondering what their point of view is. I may not agree to it, but are you there, Judy? Oh, I just hear something. I may not agree to it, but it really gives me more of a center to stand in myself and notice without judgment where someone else is coming from. And I think the times of evolution, especially with the division in the country and the separation in the world and everything that we're seeing on the outpicturing, is that we could say, that's curious. I wonder what's up for them. And because I feel stronger in who I am and I'm carrying and cultivating that strength, I don't need to be as reactive about what other people are doing. However, I'm concerned about a lot that I see, but my discernment meter is more clear because I'm discerning from center, self-leadership, nourishing myself, and then I can choose consciously what is it that I'm going to be doing to move forward to make a difference. So that was a lot, but I really, I just value, and I'm so grateful for anybody and everybody who's doing every little bit they can for their own self-care and their self-leadership to make a difference. Because I know we all have concerns and we all have our light and we all have our unique butterflyness, the ways that we transform, and we are needed now, whatever that's going to look like. Somebody might plant a garden, somebody might raise their child, somebody might sing, somebody's a consultant, someone else is a teacher, someone brings people on her boat, my husband's an artist, you know, my mother helps people travel, you know, whatever it is that you do, it's all important. We're part of the maze, you know, we're part of the big mosaic. And I've been on this mastery course I've been taking, and one of the images they gave us was of a spider. Have you ever seen a spider weave a web? It's phenomenal to see the patterns and how strong it is. This little teeny spider creates this strong, beautiful, one-of-a-kind web, and yet it's connected to so much. And I think we're all weaving our own individual webs, and we are also stronger by knowing one another and creating that support in that community. So anyway, on that note, I want to invite you to, we're going to break into rooms, Judy, right? I'll have you come in with me. We're going to do, how many people do we have here? About 4 in a room right now, and about 4 people in a room. Judy's going to break you up into the rooms. And the question, we have about 10 minutes or so, 10 to 15 minutes. And the question is going to be for each of you in the room. So maybe you'll have about 10 minutes, 2 minutes or so for each of you to speak. And please, I ask you to be as concise and focused as you can. And if maybe one person just kind of wants to quickly look at a timer on the phone, just to give everybody a chance to speak. I want you to share with the group maybe self-care practices that you have, because I think we can all learn from one another. And or, depending on what inspires you, what is it that you feel is your sovereignty, meaning like your self-leadership, a way in which you lead and have your center and your balance. I mean, they're connected. So break up into a room for about 10 minutes. There'll be 4 in a room, 2 minutes each, a little bit more if one person can maybe just watch the time, and just share with the group what you do for your own self-care and how that either links or what you do to kind of lead yourself right now in these evolutionary times that we're in. So,
and I've put that in the chat. So there'll be 3 or 4 people to a room, and I will send you a notice when you're 5 minutes through, and then another notice when you've got 1 minute left. All right, so here we go.
Here you go. Enjoy. Thank you, everyone. So just join the breakout room when you see it. Click join.
Hello. Unfortunately, hi, it's Diane Brad. So I just can't, I don't have time to do this talking part right now, but I'd love to be able to listen, but I'm kind of on a deadline.
Okay, Diane, we're glad
Thank you.
you. And I see Tracy and Natalia and Fred. And I'm Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Hi. So what do you want to, who'd like to go first and share about self-care practices and or what you feel is your sovereignty or self-leadership?
Oh, well, I'm the only one that